Thank you for joining us for this session of Chapter Chats. We are going to be discussing Chapter 4, Introduction to Instructional Design, Theory and Practice. Chapter 4 is ADDIE and Other ISD Models. I'm here with Dr. Chuck Hodel. Chuck, why do we need instructional design models?
I'm not sure. That's a great question because you always get to ask that question. It's certainly a legitimate question. Obviously, it's a very long chapter in this textbook, and we need these because this goes back to the whole notion of we are a science. There's a reason why ISD is designed the way it is and why things happen the way they do. So, in all sciences, you look at this notion of, okay, here's a theoretical approach to how all of this happens. So, think of Einstein's work. All of Einstein's work was theoretical for the most part. All the theories of relativity and everything else, E equals mc squared, that's theoretical physics. And within ISD, we have our theoretical basis too. And part of that, the way it evolves, is you end up with these models. And there are literally thousands of ISD models. And most of us know ADDIE and SAM and 10, 15 other ones that are pretty popular and used quite a bit. But it's a very normal thing in a professional practice in a field like ISD to have these theoretical bases.
Can you talk about the 5 elements of the ADDIE model?
Yeah, ADDIE, analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. And it's cleverly disguised as ADDIE. Uh, Many instructional designers have animals named ADDIE. So if you're getting a new cat or a dog and you're an instructional designer, consider the name ADDIE. It's very popular. And all 5 of the elements of ADDIE represent the 5 basic core functions in instructional design.
What is the difference between ADDIE and, say, the SAM model?
I would argue that ADDIE is the overriding umbrella approach in terms of models. SAM is a great model. It's a subset of ADDIE, I would say. Others would argue it's not. And that's certainly a healthy discussion to have. But I think you have to look at ADDIE as kind of the overarching principles that we all look at. So if you look at SAM or rapid prototyping or the KEMP, any of the models of instructional design, you're going to find that they all incorporate the 5 elements of ADDIE. So can we discover, wow, Sam's got some extra element or something? Well, I don't think it does. I mean, it's a great way to do work. It's not about that at all. It's just, I think when you look at this, most people will say the overarching and the one that I remember and the one that I use, and this is where I start, is ADDIE. And the research that I've done with instructional designers represents, I think, 60 to 70% of the folks that are out there doing this work start with ADDIE. It's in terms of their base.
Now, when it comes to ISD models, you mentioned in this chapter that there are certain truths to them. Could you talk a little bit about that, what you mean by that?
Yeah, I think this is important for designers, especially if you're just getting started in this field, you're reading this text, you're taking a course, you're doing it on your own, thinking about the field. ADDIE models are simply models. That's all. They are not a way to do your day-to-day job necessarily. You will do all of these things. You may do one more than another, depending on the project or the course. But ADDIE is meant to be just the place that you start to balloon through and think about what you're going to do. So there are lots of models, but models don't necessarily represent what you're doing on a day-to-day basis because every design project is different. And the way that you might use these elements will be different. Instructional design is not a perfect world, so we can't say, gee whiz, everything is going to happen just the way ADDIE says it should happen, because it's not necessarily going to happen that way. And you certainly may not do them in the order that they're presented. You may start with analysis and go right to implementation and fall back on design when it doesn't work. There's just so many ways to look at this. So the last thing is no 2 design projects are the same. Everything you do will be a little bit different. And the way that you look at the ADDIE elements will be different with each one. So don't think you learn ADDIE and that's all you need to know. You learn ADDIE and then you grow from there.
That makes a lot of sense. You also bring up that ISD models aren't meant to be roadmaps for instructional design projects. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think There is a layman's thought on this that ADDIE is okay. This is what instructional designers do. They do analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation, and they do it in this order, and that's all they do. And gosh, they're great at that, but so what? It's a model, folks. It's where you start. It's your theoretical base. You will branch out from there. You will do all kind of great things. You may use SAM and do it in a different way, and that's okay too. And that's the beauty of this is there's a model to do whatever you want to do, and then you build from there. So just like in Einstein's work, the theoretical physics, that's all great. But now tell me about the speed of light. Tell me what that means in terms of going from planet to planet or solar system to solar system. Make that application and grow with that information. So after that came dark matter and all the other things that neutrinos that we're now trying to explain. Same thing in instructional design. ADDIE will get you started, and then all these other great things follow, which you will need to figure out and operationalize.
Yes, we look forward to the world of instructional design just as we look forward to dark matter and neutrinos and all of that complex stuff that happens from those basic theories. I say basic, but from the foundational theories.
Yeah.
Things grow from there. So thank you very much for explaining that and for breaking this topic down for us in this session of Chapter Chats. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this session of Chapter Chats.